first things first, we're going to talk about referees. Now, we need them. So please be easy on them. I know you got opinions, but just be safe out here because there's a lot of refs. They're everywhere.
I know.
um,
I know. They're all in my DMs. I know.
right, we're
They're
going to talk
really in my
about body
DMs.
cams. We can talk about body cams referees. Now, they've been slowly introduced to the game this season at grassroots level. And yeah, just to obviously stop what's been going on, whether it be abuse, whether it be physical, verbal, and then just to keep people safe. Because again, like these lot, we can't referee or we can't officiate an official game without them, so we need them in the game, despite what people might think. So body cams is the way forward. What's your thoughts on it, man?
I think it all kind of depends on how it's going to be used. I've not been privileged enough yet to see somebody with one, so I'm not overly sure on how they work. I got told it works on one of those uh, kind of it's constantly recording, but every 30 seconds works in a 30-second loop. So you press the button and then it rewinds 30 seconds and then and then sends that footage up into a cloud, so even the referee can't actually see it or tamper with it or anything like that. Which sounds good in principle. I think in terms of keeping people safe, certainly in grassroots football, where I think it's really really necessary, where you could have a potentially vulnerable person acting as a referee. When I say vulnerable, I mean maybe somebody who's elderly, maybe somebody who might have hearing difficulties or whatever it is. Um, but I think it's good. It's probably a really, really good step for grassroots football. It's not going to be used for analysing the game. So I think people need to understand that straight away. Then the FA will not look at it and say, "Oh, well, actually that was offside or that wasn't offside." So therefore we're going to rescind your red card. That's not how it works. This is there really to act as a deterrent of aggressive and violent behaviour towards referees. I agree with it. I think for the most part, referees are just good people, just like you and I. We're all human beings. We all have good days and bad days, and I think everybody deserves a minimum level of respect as a given. And I think it's needed for those guys to protect themselves, or guys and girls, of course, to protect themselves and have something that acts as a bit of a deterrent. It's not going to stop aggressive or violent behaviour. It's not going to stop poor decisions. It's not going to stop bad games and crazy moments, but it is just there as an evidence backup for referees in those mad moments.
It's funny that you said that. You don't think it's going to stop all of that, despite people knowingly that they're going to be films, by on a referee's chest because that's where it's going to be located. So you don't think it's going to stop that at all.
No, no, absolutely not. Look, there's an awful lot that happens on a football pitch that happens around a referee. A referee can be, turning his head in one direction and the camera's looking another direction. You know, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the most effective system. I don't think it is. I still think the way to go would be a sideline camera with a microphone um, on the referee. I think that's probably the best way to go. But that's just my opinion. Like I said, it's not going to be anything more than sort of a deterrent. So, um, but it's a good one. I do think it's a good one. If you can hold people accountable for their behaviour, it's good. Um, but ultimately, let's look at it for what it actually is. Drum roll. It is it's an income revenue for the FA because they can start to hold more people accountable, and there's no longer um, a massive uh, margin for error. So if you do something or if you say something, however big or small, and the referee reports it, that's it. You'll get charged. Which generally is how the FA tend to work anyway. They back the referees somewhat blindly most of the time. But now, if a referee is probably having a bit of a stinker and you give him a little bit of stick and he starts to feel a bit uncomfortable, that's it. You can
Mm.
consider yourself booked or consider yourself fined. And that's what it will be used for. It's now going to be used as a revenue income for the FA as opposed to just a deterrent.
It's there to make obviously make people feel safe as well, which I kind of feel like it can and it can't. The reason why I feel it can't is because, if 11 man want to rush you, they're rushing you regardless of what camera you've got on. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So this whole it makes a referee feel safe is you got to take it with a pinch of salt. But also, like when the camera's on you, like I know full well, people play out to the camera, so they're not going to do it. But again, the next week
Yeah.
when you don't have it, oh, I remember that ref from so and so back a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I've got something for you. Do you know what I mean? So unless it's going to be a consistent and B is going to be backed up with, you know, if this is the route that we're going down, making sure that referee's safe, which I, wholeheartedly agree with, then we've got to have other things in place. It can't just be a little monitor there because, as I said before, if 11 guys want to jump you in the car park, that little camera there is not going to stop anything. And like you said
No.
earlier, there's other things that could be going on the pitch. That camera can only pick up so much unless it's like a 360 camera, and even still, it can only pick up so much. So having something that's, like you said, a sideline camera that picks up the whole game, like off the pitch as well, is
Hmm.
helpful alongside this. I don't think this is just the
Hmm.
be all and end all.
No, no. It shouldn't be a matter of this is all the referees have. I think I might have messaged you a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, and I said to you about this camera, and I said, it would be a very good idea if referees had a camera very similar to sort of the VO system, in where
Mm,
it kind of follows a tracker on a referee. So maybe the microphone might have an electronic device or a tag of some sort where the camera follows the referee as well as the game. But it's fixated on the referee rather than the ball. I think that would be a very, very good system. I think it gives good oversight of the game, and it also gives anybody from the FA an opportunity to tap into the game live potentially. So let's say if two teams are playing that notoriously have poor discipline or have got some repeat offenders with regards to aggressive and abusive behaviour towards match officials and even towards other players, then potentially it's one of those situations where the head of referees can actually tap into the game and watch it as well, and potentially have communications with the referee during the breaks of the game or before and after the game. I think it's a very good idea. But yeah, this body worn, it's a good step forwards. It shouldn't be the only step forwards. Um, but again, anything like this is going to cost money,
mm,
and therefore you can expect it to be used accordingly. Because if anything that costs money is going to make money, right?
hmm
So there you go.
Well, that was the last point I wanted to tap into because you mentioned it earlier about the costs. Now, who's going to be funding all of this? Will it be the players? Because will it come at an additional cost? Like, oh yeah, by the way, lads, your game's going to be coming at a cost. Not only you got the ref costs and lino costs and all the rest of it, system referees, etc., but it's going to be filmed. Is it going to come at their cost? Is it going to be the FA funding it? Like you said, if there's going to be more things looked into, there's always a charge for that. No, like who's going to be funding the bill for all of this sort of stuff?
Who's going to foot the bill for it? I think ultimately it's going to come. It's going to come back to an individual somewhere, whether it's the clubs or the referee. I actually think it's going to come out of the referee's pocket. I think it's going to be one of those situations where the FA will say, "This is here if you want it," rather than us say, "Here, you have to have it," um, because that means then they might have to give it to you. Um, if they're telling you you have to have it, as opposed to saying, right, well, if you want it, it's there. I would recommend that you have it because of referee reports and this, that, and the other. So I think it's in the referee's interest to get one. So they may well say, well, listen, you have to pay 20 quid. You don't have to pay any up cost, upkeeping costs for the stream or for the cloud or anything like that. You just pay 20 quid for the unit and it's yours to keep. You can use it when you want or not use it. It's up to you. I think that's probably the approach that they would take with this particular project. Again, it's going to be guaranteed income for them. Um, and like I said, somebody's got to foot the bill, and it isn't going to be the FA. So you can guarantee that it's going to be used. Like I said, anything that costs money, it's got to make money. It's got to justify its position. So you can guarantee it's going to be used to do exactly that.
And then the last thing I was going to say is like, of course, it's got to be educational as well. So
Yeah,
it's going to be worthwhile these referees then looking back at their own performances, and obviously it should be open to the players and see how, you know, they approach referees. Like we always see it, whether it be at grassroots level, whether it be Premier League level. If a decision is made, everyone rushes around the referee. So again, it's probably a good educational tool, right? Just to have this in place.
it is. But in that respect, if you're talking about players surrounding referees, then it's probably not the right piece of equipment to have because it doesn't give you much vision. It doesn't give you a very good field of vision. You need something that's on the side of the pitch that's got a full view of what's going on, and that would give you a much better view. I think the only time anybody's going to see this footage is going to be on refereeing courses, um, and that even then it's a maybe. I never would I ever assume that they would make footage available just for people to view. That's not something that would really take place. They wouldn't just make it available as a teachable moment. That's something that you would have to earn if that makes sense. Like you'd have to earn that moment, which means you're probably going to be in a committee room in front of a disciplinary board, and they'll just be playing back that 30-second clip of where you said or done something crazy, even if you're not actually on camera doing it, but they can hear your voice and they can say beyond reasonable doubt that's your voice. Then so be it. So, like I said, anything that costs money's got to make money, and ultimately that's what it's there for.